Hello and welcome to another episode of the Real Shaw 256. This is Evening Crypto. Thanks for being here. Just a really quick intro, and then we will get into the charts here. Just quickly, I'll try to make this as short as possible. I do think today does warrant sort of an update on the charts based on what we've seen in the last 48 hours. Heading into the weekend, there was a little bit of a price action. We did see actually Bitcoin dip down into the sort of mid to high 6,000s. We'll talk about what that means, where we are right now, currently, and what to expect. I do think we are seeing a bounce, but I do think that this bounce may be short-lived if we don't find a significant volume indicator or indication that there is enough buyers to actually propel the price. There is something pushing the price down, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. I do want to start off with a recap as usual, and I am showing the total market capitalization and volume chart here because I do want to point something out that I do think is significant. Again, we're trading currently for the entire market cap at $196 billion. It is significant because we are below the 200 billion mark. 24-hour volume again, 93 billion, close to 100K. And this is meaningful again because a lot of this volume in the last 24 hours has been a sort of a sell-off, right? A lot of a higher percentage of sellers have come into the market pushing the price of Bitcoin down. That is pretty obvious, no surprise there. And the Bitcoin dominance staying steady around 66% according to CoinMarketCap. We'll compare that to what TradingView says, and just kind of build consensus upon that. So this is significant again because we are currently trading around or below $200 billion for the entire market cap. We did try to get above it, and this is what I mean by, are we going to have a significant bounce, right? We did get rejected off the $200 billion mark here. We dipped down once, we came above it again, and this is sort of representative of what is going on with Bitcoin as well. I mean, if you look at this chart and look at the Bitcoin chart, it actually looks pretty similar, right? We did see it bottoming out here prior to 175 billion, having a nice bounce there, and currently living underneath the $200 billion market cap, right? So we did get rejected off here. We finally made it above, but I mean, it was pretty much short-lived. We hit the $200 billion mark and then got rejected off of there. And again, we're being rejected once more. So this is indicative that the market as a whole is undecisive, and with that, there's a bit of an indecision as to whether we are going to jump above the 200 billion mark. So if we are to see a sort of a solid bounce here and continuation, then we definitely want to get above this $200 billion market cap, because that means that everything's going to run along with it. Again, if we go back to the main chart here, we do see here that everything is starting to bounce. I mean, look at this pivot low here, pretty much all across the board, with some exceptions. But a lot of this stuff is in the green. I mean, 20% for Maker, 17% for Cosmos. Let's see what else is a high gainer. Bitcoin SV, sadly, and just a couple other players. 18% of VeChain, 366% from Storium. Not sure what this is. I don't think I've ever heard of this coin prior to today. Some of you may have, but yeah, if we are to sustain this bounce again, one huge indicator is this guy right here. We do want to see it jump above $200 billion, and then we also want to see a couple things on Bitcoin. So we'll get into that here real quick. And just a quick reminder, you guys can reach me on the Real Shaw 256 at Twitter and also at Instagram. You guys can give me a shout out there if you are to if you want to just give me a shout out and let me know you guys are following. Okay, so and this is the kind of thing, or why I refer to my handle over at Twitter, because I do put out sort of these little calls at times. Last night I was looking at my phone, looking at the charts on my phone, and I did tweet out about 24 hours ago, um, to buy more, because I did see sort of the local bottom. It did look like the sellers were running out of sellers. In fact, at around $6,700, I did actually enter. I got a little bit more cash, and I did actually enter at 6,700. And so at that same time, I did tweet out for you guys to start buying. Um, and not financial advice, of course, but I did put out a tweet and an alert to have you guys, if you wanted to follow what I was doing. Again, this I just share my journey here. I just share what I'm doing. You guys can follow in on it or not. But again, I did give you guys sort of a heads up. That's what I was doing. Market starting to rebound. Should we be excited? I don't know. Which, this all leads us into a quick little mention on what transpired today. The SPY actually hitting an all-time high. We did actually get above 31.25 on the trading day yesterday. I mean, and this is coming in regardless of the president um, fighting an impeachment claim by the Democrats. And the charts over in traditional markets not really giving a damn as to the impeachment conversation. Really just rallying higher and higher and higher. We did get rejected once, but once we started retesting this prior resistance here, this prior pivot high at this point here, I did also tweet out that if we break above it, um, we are to actually go for another all-time high. And I did tweet out. I just lost that tweet. I was talking about this not that long ago. Oh well, duh, here it is. Recent all-time high. If we were trading at right at 31.25, if we were to break above it, we could actually set another all-time high, and we did. We actually did do that. When I tweeted out, we were trading right around that 31.25, and we actually got above it. So again, setting an all-time high. It just looks like this will be the trend. Again, this is an uptrend. I wouldn't fight it if you're trading traditional markets. I wouldn't fight this trend yet. Yes, there are going to be some corrections on the way up. However, this does seem to be the trend for the time being. It is a very, very, very strong trend, just continuing to set higher highs and higher lows. So as long as we're in this trend, I wouldn't fight it. I wouldn't go against it. I wouldn't try to short it or anything. And if you do, I mean, just know that you try not to get too greedy with it. At the same time, with that, we do see here that gold is actually taking a correction, or having a correction based on this, right? As we did see the S&P starting to regain that momentum to the upside, we did see gold actually, start to turn back and have a correction to the downside. And we have started to make lower lows and lower highs. And so again, the gold and SPY and traditional markets, SPY is just, I'm just using that as a thumbnail to sort of represent the traditional markets. So to say that, whenever this goes up, in comparison or in contrast, gold does tend to have a opposite direction or opposite response to whatever is happening in traditional markets. As we do know, gold is a traditional hedge for traditional investors. So if you are into gold, I mean, it's probably likely, as long as we are within this trend, the continuation of this trend, where we are reaching for higher highs at given points in the future. gold is going to continue to correct to the downside again. Since this past summer, we did start, and I did give you guys an early call on this when the price was below here. We did start to see a trend where the SPY was starting to decline and have this correction to the downside, where we reached the this pivot low or local low here, where the 200 is. We actually stayed above it. That was a good indicator that with there could be a strong turn back in the market. And then we did see again, as that correction was happening, we did see gold actually started to take an upbeat and actually trade all the way up and reach its one of its prior highs, going back to, gosh, what is this? God, going back to, Jesus, trading view, awful. Going back to April of 2013. I mean, we hadn't seen gold prices, and it just goes to show, right? I mean, I'm actually, signaling a trust. The price is usually in decimals here, so the price is represented as 1,370. But we did see that we hadn't seen these prices since back in 2013. So it goes to show, I mean, for those who understand who Peter Schiff is, I mean, it took 195 bars, so 1,366 days to go 45%. I mean, that's just, I mean, that's it pales in comparison to what we see in crypto markets. So just be aware, again, I'll leave you with that here with traditional markets. As long as we're in an uptrend, gold is probably likely going to be in a hedge. It had a nice run. People starting to capitulate, and we do see again a correction, and probably a swing over to traditional markets, back into the S&P, as it seems to be thriving, and people are starting to dump their money back into traditional markets. And then when we see this run actually come to an end, we probably will see gold respond positively with that. Okay, so let's get away from traditional markets. Let's talk about Bitcoin. We are currently looking at the weekly chart here. Again, as I mentioned in my last video, if you go back as recent as a Friday night, I was speaking about how Bitcoin does tend to have these massive, drastic corrections to the downside, and as we have seen, from this pivot high here around 13, almost 14,000, all the way down to where we currently are. We actually, what was the low of this one? Was 65.15. So we did actually reach the mid 6,000s, as we do see here. This is on the weekly again, and we actually reached all the way down. This is a new weekly candle that we just started yesterday, right? Yesterday evening, according to United States West Coast. We did dip down and touch actually below this trend line here. But again, this is a brand new weekly candle. We did respond with a bounce here, and actually printing a green candle as of right now, being rejected by the 200 on the weekly. This is one of the key indicators. If you really want to see if this bounce is going to be for real, one thing is we definitely want to make sure that we are building some buying volume here. As we do see here, I mean, it's only been 24 hours since the opening of this weekly candle, roughly a little bit more than that, and we're already seeing a good amount of buyers come in. And we still have almost a full week left, right? So this is a good indicator, as long as we do continue to have buyers come in, and this volume continues to come in here. Although the weekly again is still on a downtrend, here we do want to see this momentum continue here, so that we do see that the RSI, the stochastic, starts to flatten out and starts to turn around here. Hopefully, within the next week or two, we start seeing this flat out and then come back and defend this bottom area in the stochastic here, and defend it from getting into the hands of the ultra bears and continue on the downtrend. We also want to see this volume actually reach back into this exponential here and actually get above it with some green, with some buyers behind it, right? If we do that, then I do think, again, that's another indicator that this bounce will be for real. The 200 again, it's the simple 200 just starting to print as of July 2019. So, as long as we're below it, I'm not going to get too optimistic on this bounce. It is a nice bounce. It is good to see a green for a change, as we have seen 1, 2, 3, 4 candles in the red here continuously. Definitely, definitely leaving some scars and definitely disturbing some people. So hopefully we won't walk out of this with some PTSD. Um, and we will continue to print some green candles on the way up here in the next couple of weeks. But again, we want to see Bitcoin get above the 200 simple, at least there, to start thinking about some momentum, some real momentum, and actually maybe take a stab at the 89 simple here. I'm sorry, the 89 EMA. If we do that, the 30 simple is going to come in confluence with the 89 EMA to act as resistance there. So if we get above that, that'll be a good indicator that we might actually pop back up over to the 21 here. So I do want to show the Bitstamp chart, because this will give us a little bit better picture, since a longer history, and we do have actually a 200 EMA here to talk about within this this chart here. So again, we are above it here, so that is a good thing, coming in confluence with this long trending line of support here. As long as we don't break below it, we're still going to be good. I mean, we can hit this apex here at 61.18, below the low of this current weekly candle, and we're still okay. If we're here at 61.50, we're still okay, right? As long as, again, we don't start opening and closing some weekly candles below this line here. I'm still going to be I'm going to keep my mindset that we're still trading within this falling wedge, or this falling channel, descending channel. And stay within the same frame of mind. Some people actually entered some longs at these levels here at around 66. Again, as long as we're below the 200, if you did enter a long here at say 66, 67, 6800, 6900, as long as we're below the 200, I wouldn't get too greedy on that. Would not get too greedy on that. So that's where we're currently at on the weekly. We're being rejected. Sorry, again by the 200 simple there. Taking a break to drink a little bit of water. Okay, so what else do we have here? Okay, we'll get into the shorter time frames, because there is something significant that I can show you guys there, and see if and kind of give you guys another hint or another indicator that I'm looking for to see if we are going to have a significant bounce and rally here. All right, so that's where we are on the weekly. Let's actually look at a daily. Weekly is going to have a little bit more weight, a little bit more significance in anything or any decision that we make going here. So again, trading within the trend, the posture here looks still pretty bearish. The daily this is a brand new candle that we are printing. We do see a little bit of continuation. This sort of looks like indecision here. This previous daily candle here looks like indecision. It is acting currently though as a reversal candle. We're still waiting for confirmation to see if this is actually going to be a confirmation of an actual real bounce. We do have a very little volume with this candle. This brand new daily candle that we just opened up, say about 5 hours ago. All right, so there's not a whole lot of buyers here on the daily. So it means that definitely the buyers that did come into to the market came in yesterday, as we obviously see here, reflected right exactly where my cursor is. The daily is looking like it does want to actually make another try at the what is it called? What do I call this thing? Uh, at the neutral zone. Sorry, this purple area within the stochastic and the RSI. It does look like it's trying to make another stab at it, another try. Hopefully, we will get into the purple area here with a little bit more buying pressure here, and we do get here and actually lose a little bit of that selling pressure. Again, this 21 coming in here will act as resistance here within the stochastic, but if we do break above it again, that's another indicator. This is on the daily. Let's go back to the weekly to do a little bit of analysis. Yeah, I mean, again, we just within the next couple of weeks, we definitely want to keep printing some of these weekly green candles, and especially if we get above the 200 there, this should start to flatten out and actually get back into the neutral zone. Going back to the daily to confirm that. On the shorter term of things, again, if we do get into that, I do think we can get a retest of the 21 EMA here. And again, if we break above it, that'll be a good indicator. And then we're going to have the 30 simple to deal with. Although as this weekly candle starts to print and we start, or a daily, sorry, starts to print, and we do start printing more daily candles, this 30 will come back down to meet it. And that'll be good because we will have a little bit of consolidation. Although again, at first it will act as resistance, but typically if we get above it, that's the 30 does not represent a big deal of resistance. So we should be able to get above it. Again, another indicator. So that's about maybe three or four indicators that if we get above the 30. It still doesn't mean a whole lot, but it means that at least we have enough momentum, enough buyers in there in the market to actually overtake the 30 simple there, which will be the first from that standpoint, the first positive indicator, and then we'll surely take a stab at 21, which also will be coming in influence with the 377, which is a big deal. It's a longer, a bigger moving average. And that will definitely be a big indicator. The 21 and the 377 then coming in confluence. If we get above it, then I do think we're going to get into the next zone, which is the 200 EMA on the daily. Again, that is a very significant area of interest there. Why? Because again, also the 200 is a hugely important area. That will signify that the momentum, if we get above it, is actually strong enough to continue the run, right? And then we'll retest this previous area of resistance at 9,300. I kind of been saying that for the last few days, the last few videos, that 9,300 can be retested, but it's still a little bit too early to confirm that. We do need to print some more green candles here, obviously. I know it sounds, I say that and it just sounds like a very obvious thing. Let's actually get into the lower time frames and show you a little bit more of what I mean. We've actually been tamed, and we've actually been ridiculed by this descending line of resistance coming in here. It's actually, is this right? Let's actually clean things up a little bit here and get rid of these. There we go. So there's an obvious line of resistance here that we must break to the upside if we are to call this, again, another indicator that we are going to have a breakout and positive bounce here. There's two things going on here, right? This could be already looking like an inverse head and shoulders, right? Here's the first shoulder, here's the head. We did have a bounce. This is on the 4 hours, so I mean it doesn't carry a whole lot of weight, but it carries some weight because this could be an indicator of what might transpire over to the higher time frames, like the daily, the 2-day, 3-day, or maybe weekly. But here's what I think might actually happen. This is scenario number one, which I think can happen, and we actually have a rejection once we get up to this area here. Previous or acting as resistance here. Initially, we do have a rejection possibly as we come into, say, around 72. So if we do have some sideways trading here, that'll be good. And then it could signify that once we rub against this this line of resistance. Initially, we can get rejected. This is what I think. Again, it's scenario number one. Print another shoulder, and then from there, actually have the real bounce break out of this potential area here. Let's actually put a, that's not our guy right here, right there. If we, this will be the main area of contention, but and this does look pretty likely. Hopefully, you guys are understanding what I'm saying here. Rejection off this line of resistance. Find a bounce right here where this pivot low is from this shoulder here, where the red and the green are meeting at 69.27. That could potentially be another low and print another shoulder. I mean, it's technically. I mean, I'm just talking like textbook, right? And these markets can be far from that. So this would be textbook, right? If the head and shoulders is actually about the print here. We are looking at the 4 hours. So this can actually, within the next 24 to 48 hours, actually 48 hours, we can actually see this print out. If we do, again, just know that there is some area of support right around there. It's actually, it's about to get dirty, guys. It's about to get dirty. All right, so there's a line of support right there. Have potential bounce there that'll print the right shoulder. And then again, the likely outcome from an inverse head and shoulders would be to actually take off, and in this case would have a massive, a nice reaction off this area again. But we do have to see some of this volume here. Yeah. So another thing something I don't really like, which could end up being negatively affecting the price of Bitcoin. Look at this pivot right here versus this pivot. The momentum seems to be pretty strong here, but the price movement here is not that strong. So there's a bit of bearish divergence there. I don't like that. So again, it could again confirm this correction to the downside, where we might find this actual pivot low here again, printing that right shoulder as I was saying, and then actually having the bounce. All right, so this right here is also telling us that we might actually get this move. Okay, so hopefully that's making sense. If it's not, you need another explanation, please leave it down in the comments. And also another reminder, guys, I usually tell you guys about this. If you are paying for a signals group, if you're paying for somebody to teach you TA, there's a lot of tools, there's a lot of resources out in the internet. All you got to do is just type in a few words, and boom, I mean, you have some solid content out there. Not everything that you see is going to be solid. I'm not saying that I'm the best at all. Like I'm definitely not the best. There's a lot of good traders out there. I actually feed off of those guys a lot of times, and find inspiration and find some good lessons off of those guys. Mainly like Theo at Crypto 99. He doesn't know I'm doing this. There's two guys over there, Theo 99, Danny and Theo, Crypto 99. There's the traveling trader. There's Crypto Crown Crypto K. There's the other guy who actually did a similar analysis the other day from my last video. He did an analysis on Sunday, I think, that I was talking about on Friday. I feel like that's a bragging thing because I did talk about it before he did, where he was talking about this point of confluence, this apex of support. I was talking about it last week, and he actually went over the weekend and talked about it. What is the guy's name? Canfield, Jacob Canfield. The guy's very popular. He's been out on, or he's been on some of these like really predominant crypto reporting pages, sites, outlets, if you will. And he does his thing, giving his opinion and analysis based on his TA. The guy is super bright, and I always try to learn something from everybody. So again, just to tell you guys, there's a lot of resources out there. You don't have to pay for any signals group. You don't have to pay for for anybody to teach you these things. Resources are out there, and then you can brag about and just feel really good about what you're doing and the fact that you are doing it on your own and learning these things, and you don't have to rely on somebody else to give you these lessons, tips, or signals, right? You could do it yourself. All right. So hopefully you're not paying for any of that. Okay, so that's on the lower time frames. Again, that's the 4 hour. Let's actually leave it there. As far as Bitcoin goes, you've got all my hints. You've got all the things that I'm watching for. Hopefully these things are making sense to you. If they don't, go ahead and ask down below in the comments. Let's actually look at Ethereum. Ethereum is actually printing the same exact thing. The left shoulder is in the pivot low bounce here. This also is, we are printing this sort of line of resistance here. Actually, let's correct that. Make it a little cleaner. So it looks a little bit different, little bit more. There's a little bit more of a gap here between the current price action and this area of resistance here. But again, it just looks like it's printing or following in what Bitcoin is doing. I do want to bring the EMAs back on, and this actually looks a little better than the Bitcoin does at the current moment on the 4 hour, because we are trading right at the 21 as opposed to being below the 30 and the 21. This actually is looking pretty good. We could potentially even have a continuation here, being rejected by the simple 100 here, this orange looking line. And if we are to remain underneath it, then this could be time for another correction, thus printing the right shoulder before actually continuing to the upside and actually breaking out and printing or resolving on that inverse head and shoulders here. But again, I mean, anything could happen, right? We've seen Ethereum kind of lead in some of these breakouts. So I mean, not to say that that is impossible. That could actually happen here. I know that I said I was going to keep it nice and short, but that's a lie too. I always try to keep these things short, but it just never works. There's a lot to cover, especially right now with the bounce. So we're looking at Litecoin again, printing a very similar thing. Although this looks a little different to me. Let's see if we can make this thing work. Yeah, I mean, kind of like ETH is doing too. What ETH is doing. Same thing. I mean, we are being rejected by the 21. That could transpire over to Ethereum, but we are being rejected by the 21 here on the 4 hour. This is starting to flatten out here. This does make sense. It does look like a legitimate sort of rejection at the moment, and like things are fizzling off and cooling off. So we could see again another indicator that we could potentially print that right shoulder here with Litecoin as well. So everything is in confluence right now. Everything's kind of doing the same thing. Same thing with BNB. If we look at this guy here. All right, so BNB already having a little bit of a nice recovery here. Not to say that BNB is going to definitely break out. What I really think might actually happen is if we do see Bitcoin having a correction, I do like that we are above the 21 here. It does signify a little bit of strength. As long as we defend it here, we could actually continue on this run. This is the 4 hours, so again, not a whole lot of weight with this, but high pivot low, higher low. Let's see where this ends up going. We could actually defend this descending line of support here. Previous resistance now turned into support. We are being rejected by the 89 here, or I'm sorry, the simple 100 there. And if we break below the 21, we might actually just start to trade above this line of descending support until Bitcoin actually does decide to have another run. And then from there, obviously, here's what I think would happen is, potential bounce off of that area. Okay. following hopefully what Bitcoin is doing. Link USDT actually having a nice bounce on the day. A nice bounce on the day. Let's actually expand a little bit so we can see. So link. 0.99 bounce on the day, kind of fizzling out. It was at 2:30 when I started the video, I think, or just prior to starting the video, $2.30. We are correcting pretty good here, having a nice rejection. But again, it looks like everything else. It does look like everything else. It does look like it's following on whatever everybody else is doing. Kind of the same thing as BNB. Look, it's also starting to trend. If we break below it here, you bet we're going to test a 30 here. That is definitely going to happen. It's almost a certainty here at $2.23. If we break below that, then as long as we don't break below $2.11, we'll be all right. But it does look like, again, it looks like that everything is just reminiscent of that inverse head and shoulders, right? It already looks like it wants to print that right shoulder. All right, let's go to XRP. Actually, let's go to stay in link here for just a moment longer. RSI is starting to flatten out. So again, another sign that we could actually keep trading down along this path. If we break below it again, it's going to be a bigger move, harsher move. Let's look at the daily. Yeah, the daily is not looking so bad actually. It is pretty flat. It is trying to defend the bear control zone here. But the daily looks pretty decent to me. If we can actually close the daily above this descending line of resistance, then I do think there's a higher possibility that we actually continue on upwards. All right, let's actually look at XRP now. XRP looks different to me. It actually looks like it's going to have to do a little bit more work than these other altcoins. Yeah, I mean, no head and shoulders from the daily. Let's actually look at the 4-hour, see if the 4-hour says anything else. No, not really. Not really. Yeah, it does look weaker than the other alts. Yeah, it does look weaker than the other alts. I do like that it's trying to stay above the 30 simple there. I do like that. I'll give it that. If we can actually start closing and opening and closing some 4 hours above it, then I do think this could actually hold and actually try to reach up to the 21 there. And then we'll see from there if we stay above the 30 and actually get above the 21, then that could signify again the dominoes could start falling here one by one, reach to the 100, reach to this line of resistance that's coming in with confluence on the 55 here, and potentially break above it. All right, let's actually look at Cardano. Cardano was actually having a nice rebound, as with a lot of these alts. Again, it is doing what a lot of what Link and BNB is actually doing, having a nice little bounce. Correct a little bit here. There we go. But currently failing. It's it's going to depend on the next couple of 4-hour closes. We just got a new one about an hour and a half ago, so in the next 2.5 hours we should see where this one actually resolves, depending on where it actually goes. If we close below the 21, that'll mean that we are going to close below this descending line of what could be support now. But again, if we break down below it, then we are going to see continuation to at least a 30 simple here at around 0.035, and then we'll go from there. We'll see from there. That's the 4-hour. Let's see what the daily is telling us. Daily is actually looking the opposite, right? If we close this daily above it, then that'll be a good indicator. All right, let's move on to XLM. Same thing as with Cardano. That seems to be what what a lot of these alts and even Bitcoin is up against, right? This descending line of resistance doesn't mean that we are going to get a move anytime soon. It just depends on what Bitcoin is doing, and if we do have follow through on this this bounce here. But it is looking like it's doing the same exact thing. Let's take a look at the 4 hour. Yep. Although this shoulder is a little bit shrugged here, quite a bit shrugged here, almost like a double bottom. Almost like a double bottom, but not quite. 4 hour, again, flattening out here. Could be time for another correction and actually print the right shoulder as well. This looks a little more horizontal to me, but it actually doesn't look bad. Not too bad. We could actually continue to trend sideways here, and then, but again, once we break above this, it could potentially run. So watch out for that. VeChain actually looking pretty darn good. I mean, look at this nice massive correction. That's pretty good. Pretty good correction. But then we defended the 377. This is a wick down below on the 4 hour. Again, usually these sort of signify a reversal. Short-lived, rejected by the 200, defended the 377, and actually on a second pass we actually did get above it, which is great. I mean, great looking bounce. We did defend the 377 again. This is actually pretty nice to see, and once we get above this pivot here, it was time to run, but we are being tamed by the simple 200 here. Let's just watch and see what happens here in the next few 4 hours. If we get above it, then you betcha we are going to continue. This is going to be the next area of resistance. I'll go ahead and print it for you guys. This is doing something slightly different than what the other alts are doing. This will actually be resistance here. So if we get above the 200, that'll be the next target. Point 006628. That'll be the next area of resistance. Again, if we do get past the 200 there, 200 SMA simple moving average, looking pretty bullish. Out of everything we've seen so far, I think VeChain does look definitely the more decisive of all the alts. And again, we'll just see. We'll just have to watch the next few 4 hour closes and see where we are. That's on the 4 hour. Let's actually look at the daily. Daily's looking pretty darn strong here. This looks like a legit bounce, guys, on the daily. And it's just getting started, it looks like. Nice separation off the red indicator there. We definitely want to get a retest of the 21 there, which again, we do see a little bit of confluence there with, or not confluence, but we confirmation here that this is going to act as resistance. The 30 simple here on the daily does not represent a whole lot of resistance in what I'm seeing here. The 377 does, though. This is the 377. So we'll just have to watch where this one ends. If we actually close this daily by tomorrow above the 30, then this again confirms that we could potentially come back and retest 0.006628. All right, VeChain, yeah, VeChain looking pretty legit at the moment. EOS on a daily, also looking pretty good, trying to reach up into the 30 simple here. If we break above $2.68 on the daily, we could actually say that this is a legitimate goal here for EOS. All right. So 1, 2, let's see, and this will be the last one, guys. Then we'll wrap it up here. Thanks again for being here. If you haven't signed up for the alert, definitely go ahead and hit the subscribe button right now. and let me know that you guys are following. Also hit the bell, the notification bell, so you do get notified when I put out these new updates. And we'll wrap it up here. It does look like the 21 is being defended here. As long as we are in this general area here above the 21, I think we'll be good. Um, and we'll see. But it does look like it wants to print that head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders, almost here. We'll see what happens here. But again, as long as we're defending this posture here above the 21, we could actually see that EOS continues on upward above the 100 simple here, and then the 55 will be the next area of resistance there. All right, you have the 55 as an indicator. And then the RSI, the stochastic, is actually letting us know that there could be continuation here. Kind of looking pretty strong actually here. So I do like this. I do like what I'm seeing here in the stochastic here on the 4 hour. Again, if we close the next couple of 4 hours above the 21, that'll be another indicator that we could actually potentially run, continue running to the 55. Let's see. Let's look at the daily. If we break above 267 here on the daily, this will be a good indicator as well. It does look like the green exponential did take over the red, and it is trying to get into the neutral area here within the stochastic RSI. And then the next thing would be testing the 21 EMA here. If we do get that retest, which which should indicate if this is for real or not. We might, if we do get rejected, well, at the 21 EMA here, look for another correction to the downside. Again, EOS on the daily. All right, guys, I'm getting really tired. I am going to wrap it up. Again, thanks for being here. Hope that you got something in exchange for your time here tonight. If you did, please hit the like button, and again, hit the subscribe button there on the side of this video. I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks to those who have recently signed up. Welcome to the community. I really do appreciate you guys being here. Leave your comments down below, and we will talk to you on the next one. Thanks. Good night.